Okay, magandang hapon everyone. Magandang hapon. So welcome to our final Kwentuhan and Kultura series. Yay! This is our last Kwentuhan and we are very glad to have been joined by someone who is very credible enough to talk about our topic this afternoon, which is Philippine heroism from past to modern times. So if you can remember yesterday, no, it wasn't yesterday. Last Wednesday, I talked about our national heroes, and I think this topic that our speaker will talk about has a good connection to what I introduced last Wednesday, just for you to really understand how heroism is perspectivized, in the Philippine context. But before that, I am just so proud to introduce our speaker this afternoon. I have to read her entire bio, guys, so that you will really get to know her. She's an active peace builder with 15 years of community and school-based peace building experience. She is one of the founding members and board of trustees of the Teach Peace Build Peace Movement, a nonprofit organization in the Philippines with a mission to make every Filipino child and youth a peace hero. She is a Change Fellow of the United States Institute of Peace and a Civic Engagement Professional Fellow of the Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative, or YCD, organized by the Bureau of Cultural Affairs in the United States of America. So this is how I met her. So we met here in Spokane I think it was in October. She stayed here for a couple of weeks. She has led thousands of volunteers over 200 peace missions in Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, Zamboanga, Metro Manila, and other parts of the Philippines. In 2015, she initiated the Back to School Peace Gifts Project, which aimed to support the education of children in conflict-affected areas by providing school supplies, and the project provided 30,000 back-to-school kits in 8 years. It has supported the 10 schools of PPBPM that are under the organization's flagship peace education program. During the pandemic, all her advocacy works and her projects really show how much of a hero she is. She started Peace Hero Kids TV to provide an avenue for kids to learn about peace, producing video contents on mindfulness, meditation, recognizing emotions, conflict transformation, and peaceful communication for children. These learning resources are now being used for the Peace Hero Kids Ambassadors Program, mentoring 50 children from Lanao del Sur and Metro Manila in a 10-month learning journey. She is also a peace agent of the Peace Revolution with the World Peace Initiative, and she has completed a 42-day self-development program and a 14-day intensive meditation and habit development program in Thailand. The organization believes in the PIPO, or Peace In, Peace Out principle, and the power of meditation to achieve world peace. She is a content creator, web developer, social media manager of civil society organizations, and she believes in the power of technology to bring about positive change in the community. And I think what she'll be talking this afternoon is just a fresh perspective, totally different from what we talked about, the concept of heroism, which was about war, being in the battlefield as made or as done by our traditional or historical heroes in the Philippines. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome our speaker for this afternoon, Miss Bernadette, also called as Ate Badette Fernandez. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Hello! Magandang hapon sa inyo dyan. Magandang hapon for you there in Spokane, and a peaceful morning from the Philippines. Yeah, I am Ate Badet. Hello, everyone. I can see all of you. So Kuya Maiko already mentioned that you've discussed about the peers of the past, but I also will talk about it a bit here today. So I'm very happy to be sharing this with all of you, and I'm actually very nervous because I'm not used to talking to people in front. Yeah, so this is a very brief conversation about how heroes have evolved from the past. So looking back on how we were colonized before, and then to now, who are the heroes that Filipinos considered today. So as you have known, no, the Philippines is colonized by at least three countries. So we have been colonized by the Spaniards, of course, for more than 300 years. That's where we got our name from King Philip of Spain. And then the Americans, and then the Japanese. So actually, last April 9 is the Day of Valor, officially known as the Araw ng Kagitingan, where we commemorate or observe the uh we commemorate the fall of Bataan to Japanese troops during the World War II. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're talking about heroes today. So a lot of our culture, our language, our food, and even some of our architecture are inspired by or influenced by these countries that colonize us. And during those times, the Filipino people have experienced a lot of oppression, injustice, and discrimination, a lot of conflicts. And naturally, heroes are rose among us Filipinos to fight for our freedom. And and I'll be sharing with you first five heroes in the past that really inspired me also. And I've been looking up to them also while I'm also journeying now as a present Filipino. So first is Dr. Jose Rizal. I think Sir Mike already discussed him with you. So he's our national hero. He has actually produced two novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which had a very wide impact in the Philippines during his time and actually even up until today. The characters of his story showed a resistance against the abuse of the clergies and the Spanish government. And through his novels, he wanted to remind us that there will be no tyrants and if there are no slaves. So back then, he founded La Liga Filipina, which is actually a secret society to call for the reform of the government. So that actually led him to be arrested and then later on be killed. And then next is Andres Bonifacio. He was a so when Rizal founded the La Liga Filipina, he is actually one of the very first members of the movement. And then when Rizal was arrested, he decided that peaceful means is not possible. The Filipinos should revolt against Spain because peace can only be achieved through revolution. And that's why he left the La Liga Filipina and founded KKK, where he instigated the revolt of August 1986 against the Spaniards. So his form of heroism or his form of revolution is through arms or fighting. Next is Melchora Aquino. So he is considered the mother of Philippine Revolution. So he is she back then, so she used her store as a makeshift hospital to treat revolutionaries who are sick or wounded because of the of war. She also provided shelter, encouragement, and prayers for soldiers, even hosting more than 1,000 soldiers in her home yard during the Cry of Balintawak. She is also known to many as Tandang Sora, as an acknowledgement of her wisdom and seniority, and actually even considered the Florence Nightingale of the Philippines. So she's a hero because she gave her time and effort and resources to help the revolutionaries. Next is Juan Luna. So he's a Filipino painter, sculptor, and political activist of the Philippine Revolution. So his exhibitions actually depicted the struggle of the Filipino Revolution and exposing the different atrocities and the war that happened in his lifetime. And his most famous painting called Spoliarium is actually expresses the state of the Philippines under the Spanish rule, which is like a country yearning for independence outside the shadow of its colonizer. So on the other side, he is also painting about peace. He yearns about peace because he paints about Filipinas and about a Spanish woman guiding a Filipina. It's called he's making several España y Filipinas paintings, which depicts the friendship of a Filipino woman and a Spanish woman. So for me, he's a hero because he uses his talent for art to show the realities and also advocates for peace. And next hero of the past is she is Josefa Llanes Escoda. She's a Filipino civic leader, social worker, and World War II heroine, and also she's most known for uh, campaigning for women's right to vote, and also the founder of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines during World War II. So this is like in the Japanese time. So she and her husband helped the National Federation of Women's Club to provide clothing and money for stranded women, children, and prisoners of war. And actually, she's because of her civic roles and her social work, she was actually featured in our 1,000 peso bill. But I think it was replaced now. But she's for the longest time she was featured in the our 1,000 peso bill. So those are just some of the heroes of the past, and I know that you've been learning about heroes over the past week, so maybe you know other heroes as well. And I also want to acknowledge the thousands of heroes who fought and died for our country's independence over the past 100 years. So every one of them actually died because of their heroism. So as the Philippines entered a new era of independence, of course we're not colonized as of now, and new struggles and challenges also came our way. But the word heroism also has evolved. So looking at it in a different light, we don't need to die for our country now just to be considered a legitimate hero. So of course, if there's war, we need to fight for our country's freedom, right? But for now, everyone can be a hero, and we just need to live and to live a peaceful life, be an example, and become useful in our society. So today we Filipinos consider the following as our modern day heroes. So for me, uh these are the faces of modern heroism. So, for example, the overseas Filipino workers. So they are the people who work outside of the Philippines to provide for for their families. So, for example, they can be nurses, engineers, teachers, seafarers, domestic helpers, and many more. They choose to work for others outside of our country to give their family a better life, and even if there are different struggles and also sacrifices, whether it's financial, emotional, mental stresses, they endure it all for the love of their family. And they're considered modern day heroes, of course, because of their sacrifices and also for helping the Philippine economy. They're actually one of the big contributors of our GDP, which is 11%, through their remittances. So, and for me, they're heroes because they are the ambassadors of the Philippine hospitality, the ambassadors of the Philippine culture. So when we go to when they are outside the Philippines, people from other countries, they first know them. So they are our ambassadors. Next is soldiers and war veterans. So uh we have they have large contribution to preserving our sovereignty and also defending our national security. In the past, they've fought different wars inside our country and also outside, such as the Korean War and then the Vietnam War, which they were involved in medical and civic action roles. And at present, actually they're fighting a different battle. So there's a lot of stuff going on, of course, outside the Philippines, the West Philippine Sea issue, and of course inside the Philippines, there are issues of terrorism. We're actually ranked 16th in the in the global terrorism index, which is not good. So, and I think one of the reasons why our generation considered them heroes is because of their sacrifices as well for the country, which was heavily highlighted during the Marawi siege that happened last 2017. So there was a security operation to capture the ISIS designated Emir of East Asia, and which led to a 5-month Battle of Marawi. So you can search it in YouTube to know the history, but it's a long battle, but the soldiers have fought hard for the liberation of the city. And like OFWs, no, they had to leave their families and wondering if they could still go back alive. And that's why they are considered heroes. And then, of course, during the pandemic, healthcare workers, we considered them heroes because they had to face the virus head on. They saved the world. They saved the world from the virus, and then take care of us Filipinos, and even people from outside of the Philippines. We've exported a lot of nurses from different countries all over the world, and the pandemic has actually exposed the realities of the healthcare system in our country, and that's why uh, even if there's a lot of realities going on in their profession, so low salary, or we don't have that technology, they still sacrifice and struggled just so everyone in the healthcare industries, everyone in the healthcare industry is taken care of. So of course, the teachers as well. So during the pandemic, since we work in the education sector, I really know how hard they worked during the pandemic. So some of them are old now, so they had to adapt to the use of technology. It was really hard for them. Learn a new style of teaching to provide mental health and psychosocial support to children, teach children, and also deal with angry parents who talk to them all the time about modules and online stuff. So they had to adjust, had to like 360-degree shift of mindset from teaching face to face and then teaching online. So they struggled a lot. So for me, they are heroes of the pandemic because of that. So nowadays, no, we Filipinos face different challenges. We have poverty, lack of education, social divides, climate change, and a lot more. There's a lot of problems all over the world. And since I'm from a non-government sector, so I met a lot of people, a lot of heroes in my field. And that's why I'll be also sharing with you people that I look up to. They're people that I personally know, and they're my inspiration, and they're also heroes to the community that they serve. First is Sir Tony Miloto. He's the founder of Gawad Kalinga. So it's a Philippine poverty alleviation and nation building movement, and they have a mission of ending poverty for 5 million families by 2024. So it's next year. So they also build houses like Habitat for Humanity, but they combine multiple solutions to combat poverty through its GK villages. So with sponsorships from various sectors, GK works with impoverished communities to build homes, they build clinics, community centers, and also businesses. So if you know human nature, if there's human nature in the US, it's really a good skincare. And then the ones who are doing the products are the community members of those villages. So services also include educational programs for youth, and then formation sessions, parenting sessions for the village residents. There's also solid waste management, so they can take care of their environment. And also they train health workers and capacity building for different sectors in the villages that they put up. So there's actually a holistic approach to building peaceful communities. Sorry. So as of today, they have built more than 850 Gawad Kalinga villages, or spanning all over the Philippines. So he's for me, he's a hero for the homeless, hero for those who needed homes. And the next is Kuya AG Sanyo. So I've known him for like 12, 13 years already. He's an artist and an environmentalist, and I have known him for 12 years. And in 2010 he watched The Cove. Do you know The Cove? The movie The Cove. Have you watched it? No. So it's actually a documentary exposing dolphin slaughter in Japan. So every year there's a place in Japan where they slaughter dolphin, I think for food. And then he was deeply disturbed by this since he's also worked in marine conservation at that time. So he's working as a photographer in WWF Worldwide Fund Initiative. So this inspired him to actually start Dolphins Love Freedom movement. And since then he has painted thousands of dolphins and more than 1,000 murals, not just in the Philippines, but in Asia and Europe. Parang. uh, uh, so at first he wanted to paint 23,000 dolphins in honor of the 23,000 dolphins that is being killed in Japan. So but then he has exceeded all of his goals and now has 1,000 murals with with hundreds and thousands of dolphins all over the world. So he is also a Typhoon Haiyan survivor. Have you heard of Typhoon Haiyan? And I think it's 2013, if I'm correct. So it's one of the most powerful tropical cyclones ever recorded. So it's a very strong typhoon. Yeah, it's in 2013 that really hit the Philippines really hard. And he survived that, but then he lost two of his friends during that time. So this strengthened his advocacy for the environment, also for climate change. And through his art, he has inspired thousands of people, including government officials, to take actions on the climate change. He's been to different parts of the Philippines and also walking from Rome to Italy to Rome and then Paris for the climate COP conference on climate change. So he's a very inspiring artist. So for me, he is a hero for the environment. He's a face of the environment, uh, and also an artist that uses his uh, talent to advocate for the environment. And then next is Patricia Nunn. So during the pandemic, so people had to leave. There are a lot of people in the Philippines who lost their jobs, so they were not able to provide for their families and stuff like that. So Patricia Nunn is an organizer of a community pantry in the Philippines, which inspired the whole Philippines to help the the poor during the pandemic. So it started when she set out a bamboo cart outside of her home to uh with a sign that says take according to what you need, give according to what you can. So it's in the presentation, magbigay na naayon sa kakayanan, kumuha base sa pangangailangan. So it's a small food bank. Yeah, she just put there some things that were excess from her groceries to for people to take whatever whenever they need it. But then through social media, it has inspired more than 5,000 community pantries all over the Philippines during the pandemic. So her action, small act of action actually rippled and create a big wave, an ocean of kindness all over the Philippines. And through that commitment, through the movement that she created, a lot of people have food in their homes during the pandemic. And the next person is Kez Valdez. I'm really inspired by this kid. He was just 7 years old when he started his organization. He was born poor, no, and then he actually got away from home because he was abused by his he was like uh abused by his parents and stuff like that. So he went away from home. But then he saw the different realities of children around him, and then he started like giving. The first thing that he did is he got a shoebox and then put toothbrush and toothpaste and small toys, and then he gave it to one of his friend. And then because of that, people from around him was inspired of what he did and actually helped him create more boxes for him to give to more children. So because of that, he won an international children's peace prize for championing community children. So this actually led him this opened a lot of doors for him, and now he's 24 years old, and as of now he has helped like more than 10,000 children in his community, and also inspired more children to become active leaders in their community, even if they're still young. So that is Kez Valdez. He is a hero for children for his community. And next is Dr. Anton Lim. So he has more than 30 years of community experience. So he also co-founded the Yellow Boat of Hope campaign. So in the Philippines, we have more than 7,000 islands, right? So there are times that children would go to school and have to swim to the river so they could go to school. So that's like the background of the Yellow Boat for Hope. So he uh he provides yellow boats to to these communities for children to go to school, or of course other modes of transportation. It could be boats, tricycle, and also build bridges for children to be easier transported in different places, and also dormitories so they could stay in the school. This helped and give access to children to be in school also, ensuring that no children is left behind, giving them education. And then next is Ate Rohani, or Bay Rohani Zasumdad Usman. For me, she's a hero for building a culture of peace and social cohesion. She's actually called Peace Princess of the Philippines. So when she was just 7 years old, she actually experienced Gulf War in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So hearing sirens and bombs dropping was like normal for her. It was her lived reality, and she didn't like it. She didn't want children to experience those kinds of realities, especially in her country, in the Philippines. So although she's Muslim, she studied in a Catholic school to learn more about uh uh Christianity, and also to better understand other religions. So in 2013, she started Teach Peace Build Peace movement together with me and also other people from the group. And we have a mission to make every Filipino child and youth a peace hero. So if you want to check our website, it's tpbpm.org. So all of our stuff is there. And she believes that children are the most vulnerable during in times of conflict, no? So they are recruited by terrorist groups to be soldiers. They become refugees during wars. They have to move from their homes. They they there were there are they experience gender-based violence when they are in evacuation centers, and many more. So for the last 20 years, actually she's been doing this for 20 years already. She's been visiting and of course exploring different conflict areas in the Philippines, and also teaching vulnerable children and youth about critical thinking and also resiliency, so that they don't join groups like ISIS or other local terrorist groups that may cause them harm and also harm in their community. So she's engaged more than 50,000 children, youth, and parents through holistic and innovative peace education programs for the community. So those are the five heroes that I look up to. But of course, there's a lot more. But of course, we don't have time. So those are the gist of the people, or the new modern heroes of the Philippines now. So those are the new faces of heroism from past to present. So for looking back, no, from past to present, Filipinos have inspired change, courage, and then They've inspired a revolution and a movement. The people that I've shown you have led thousands, hundreds of thousands of people and inspired them to do something for their communities with whatever means they can and with whatever they can give. And of course, heroes are everywhere in the Philippines, so we can find them feeding stray cats, tutoring children, volunteering their time and their resources, and many more. No matter how small, they've been creating ripples of change in their own circle of influence. So we've been through a lot, but one thing is for sure. In the middle of conflict, even if there's war, even if there's a pandemic, there's always going to be a Filipino willing to lend a hand, willing to give selflessly, and also willing to give love unconditionally to others. And that's all. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that gave a glimpse of how heroism has evolved from the past since we were colonized by Spain and then up until now. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have questions, Sir Michael can answer them.
Thank you so much, Ate Badet. That was actually very refreshing knowing that they have learned how to, they have different perspectives now of what heroism is. So they had like a traditional angle of what heroism is in the Philippines, and now you have introduced them to the modern one. Okay, do you have any questions? Things to be clarified about from Ate Badet? Dawson's also joining us via Zoom.
Hello, Dawson.
Hi. Sorry, I can't be there in person, but I was listening along.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you,
okay. I'm
Dawson.
not also there in person.
I told you she's informal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah. I don't think they have questions, but I have one question for you, Ate Badet.
Yeah.
Heroism has evolved. Its concept has evolved throughout the years, and we have already witnessed different forms and shapes of heroism. And these learners in front of you have so much potential. They have bright future waiting for them, with all the opportunities that they have here in the United States. And
Mm.
they will get after their education here at Gonzaga. What pieces of advice can you give them as to how they can contribute for their share of heroism for the Philippines or for their identity being Filipinos?
Thank you for that wonderful question, Miss Universe. Um, for me, you're all Filipinos, right? Or half,
Uh,
or not everyone? Yeah.
yeah,
So
there are a few here who are not, but are Filipinos by blood, I believe.
yes, Filipinos by heart.
Yeah.
And I think as I mentioned earlier, we don't need to die for our country, or we don't need to die for the Philippines, or we don't need to do very big extravagant things for the Philippines to be considered a hero. For me, heroism starts in the little things. Being able to, since you're in the United States, you can be ambassadors of the Philippines. So I actually know one share experience now. One of the uh content creator influencer here in the Philippines. He is called Becoming Filipino. You can search him in YouTube. He's an advocate of Philippine culture. He loves everything about the Philippines. He's a Canadian, but he's been to most of the conflict areas in the Philippines. He's not afraid, even if his embassy told him not to. I'm not telling you to do the same because it's not safe, but your love for the Philippines can be uh shown in different ways, by advocating for it, by sharing about it, by talking about it, and also there are a lot of things that you can do in your own. When you go back to your home, maybe you can talk to your parents about your experience in your class. You can talk about what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what you would want to improve, and something like that. If you're a Filipino, what maybe you can also know more about about our culture, know more about the history, your roots, and if you're not a Filipino but a Filipino by heart, what are the things that are similar to us? How can we found common ground, no? So looking at the bigger picture also, uh what are the things that we have common interests, and then share it, that because I know that there are a lot of discrimination also happening with Filipinos and also Asians. So there's, if you heard about passport bros, where other the some uh girls from Western girls are discriminating Filipinos. So what can you do about those things? So, or in your school, what can you do about the Philippines in your school? What are the little things that you can do? Oh my God, I've talked too much. But what are the things, little things that you can do? Very little things. You don't need to think very big that I will give this, I will do this and stuff like that. But the little things that you can do. Right now, when you go out of that room, think about what is the first thing that I can do for the Philippines, the simplest thing. Can I ask a question for all of them? Can they share? I think,
Yeah,
Sir Marco.
yeah, they're ready to share.
Yay! So for you, what's the like little thing that you can do when you go out of that classroom after learning about the Philippine culture for the past how many months? Can they share all of them? Pinag-isip.
All of them. Maybe a few of you can share. Anyone?
Okay.
What concrete actions can you do, guys, after after you finish the Filipino classes that you have here at Gonzaga? What's your
How
plan
can you
next?
use
Like,
all
how
of
do you
them?
further your Filipino identity, not only by blood but also by heart? Culture. Yeah, share that ribbon.
Red ribbon. Yeah. Food
That
is food
culture.
is the way to a man's to everyone's heart, to
Yeah,
share food.
it's a nice answer.
What else?
Ivan,
Red ribbon.
something?
Um, I'm not Filipino, but Kui always says I'm Filipino by heart from being in this class, and it's just I don't know. I've already found that I've been able to share things that I've learned in this class, and hopefully that's something I can continue doing, and like I don't know, just continuing learning about the language and the culture and just sharing that with people.
Yeah, you taught them by buy-in, and who knows, they'll be the next generation of people, Filipinos outside the Philippines will be using by buy-in, right? And then
Yeah,
promote
yeah, yeah.
and try to revitalize the use of this Philippine script that we had once in our history.
So they know how to write their names in baybayin?
Their name, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you find it?
I, I think they did enjoy the activity somehow.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I think baybayin is a really cool, it's very nice. So I also want to uh revive it, no? And actually is there a movement to revive it in?
There is a modern one composed of Filipino youth in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are many organizations now in the Philippines. Well, anyway, what's actually good about Gonzaga is that they have a very strong FASU, Filipino American Student Union, that has been doing a lot of activities to promote Filipino culture among the student community. And it's really nice that their Barrio Fiesta, they have
Yeah.
this annual gathering where they promote Filipino culture through dance, song, food, and the typical loud Filipino community you get to experience to celebrate something during festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's
They're
one
very
thing I
loud.
really brag about when I invited the guests over to attend Barrio Fiesta. And even our department chair was so amazed with how loud everyone was, because that's how a Filipino gathering should be, right?
Yeah.
We're always loud. We enjoy everything from start
True.
to end. Okay.
I can say that we're very warm, no?
Yeah, the warmth that we experience when we have gatherings. Okay, so once again, let's give Ate Badet a round of applause.
Thank you so
She's a
much.
hero, not only because she shared a lot this afternoon, but also she woke up very early for this.
I used to wake up
Uh,
at 10 a.m.
is it 8 a.m. there now? It's
7:15 before, yeah, almost 8.
Almost 8 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Yeah. Okay, so Ate Badet, if before you leave, I hope you don't mind, can we have like a can we take a picture, a photo?
Can you move forward so I can see your face better?